How do you define being consistent in this season of your doctoral journey? When you think about where you are, what you have on your plate, what your next set of goals are, what does it look like to be consistent? Like, again, if I had a camera following you around, what will we see you doing? I mean, there are cameras following you around in today's society, but that's not what today's conversation is about. What does consistency look like? Like, what would you be doing over and over that would show or demonstrate that you're being consistent? Let me know some ideas in the chat box. What does consistency look like? I hear this all the time. Folks are like, I need to get it together. I just need to be consistent. But I'm like, what does that mean exactly? What does it mean to be consistent? But even in that, right? Like, this is the only time I like think about quantitative research. I'm sorry to y'all. I don't mean any shade by that. I just mean it ain't my ministry. So I don't think like this in all the ways. But when it comes to things like being consistent or making a plan or providing myself structure, I'm like, how do I operationalize every word that I'm using? How would I know if I'm doing it or not? So, okay, I'm gonna pick back on you again. Make steady progress. How do you operationalize that? You said, and Wada, like showing up on a regular basis. What does regular mean? How do you operationalize that? Is it 7 days a week at 7 p.m.? Is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 p.m.? You show up at this location doing this thing. This may seem like splitting hairs or semantics, y'all, but I promise you, if you can't describe it, your brain is like, girl, I don't know. I'm gonna just keep telling you you ain't doing it because I don't know what it look like. I just know he's supposed to be consistent. And I just gonna assume you're not doing it. What does it mean? Don't know, but I just know you're not doing it. That's the conversation that's happening over and over and over, which is a large part as to why we feel like shit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm gonna stick to my slides. I'm gonna come back. Here's the thing tonight, especially take care of yourself. If at any point this conversation becomes too much, you please bow out. Go drink some water, hug a stuffed animal or a fur baby, and we'll see you on Sunday. If you like, I thought I was good, but I'm not. It's okay. I promise I'm not gonna have no hard feelings. Because then we don't have a real conversation tonight. And I just want you to take care of yourself. Mind your bladder too. That's a good way. Do you need to go take a break? Do you need to go empty your bladder? Do you need to fill it with some liquids? Do you just need to go take a walk? We're gonna watch a video. I'm starting off with him. Did anybody know who Eric Thomas is? If you don't, here's your content warning. Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. I don't think he goes by that as much anymore. He's from Detroit, originally from Chicago though, because we don't claim him, all right? He's gonna share a little bit about his story in this video, but he's a motivational speaker. The content warning is he yells from passion, but if you got anything around a masculine presenting person yelling at you, please turn your volume down or come back in like 10 minutes. What I want you to do is take out some paper and just jot down as much as you can your inner dialogue as you're watching this. The reason why we're starting with this video is because this is what y'all want me to do. That's what I'm not going to do today. But I'm gonna give you what you want so that I can give you what you need. It's a business rule that I say to my clients. This is what y'all want me to say to you. So we're just gonna get it out the way. You can get your feel because y'all like it. Like me yelling. I don't really know why. I do know why. I do. If I go back into your past, I get it. It reminds you of your parents and your caretakers. I get it. So he gonna yell, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna break down something like a lot of the points that he's making. I'm gonna break it down in my own way. Okay, but remember, content warning. Because one time I played this in the call, and people were like, "You didn't tell me he was gonna be yelling the whole time." So I want to be clear. Not personally, but I'm familiar with his content and message. Yes, Mary. You also know, and there's another video that I'll play probably at the end of the month, but I started listening to him as a doc student. Excuse me. Because at the time, I think it was 2015, he had finished all his coursework and he was just starting to really hit it as a motivational speaker, like being in high demand. And everybody was like, so you're going to finish this dissertation? You're going to graduate? What you doing, friend? And I remember being like, I'm going to start a business because maybe one day he'll be my client. Now, of course, the time it don't work out, but this is how I dream, y'all. So I was like listening to him every day, and there's a video. I'll find it and try to put it in Kajabi or send it to y'all. But there's a video where he talks about his grandmother calling him and being like, I'm making my hair appointment and I'm getting my outfit and my plane ticket. You better like make sure you're graduating because I'm on a fixed income and I'm like sacrificing money to prepare for your graduation. And that is what he used to finish when his entire program and administrators told him it was not possible for him to finish in the timeline he wanted to finish in. And so we'll play that video probably at the end of the month. This video, though, is about what is the conversation you're having with yourself, right? You know what it is that you want to accomplish. You know the goals, like you want to become a doctor, but how are you, in what ways are you taking responsibility for that beyond talking shit to yourself? So that's how I'll set that up. Is there anything else I want to say about this? No, he's not in the US as he's giving this speech, but this is his video. It goes viral, and this is the video that puts him like on the map per se, if you will. I think it has over 10 million views at this point. I'm back and forth about playing it for that very reason, but I decided to play it because I find it helpful when you can hear how you sound when it's not you talking. Because most of you will say you don't talk to yourself this way, but if we were able to listen to your inner voice, you're probably louder than he is, more passionate than he is. In the same similar fashion with Mimi, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts after I get done with my slides, because I'm following you and agree with you in terms of especially this conversation around blame. So there's a lot more that I would nuance, and I'm going to nuance around this video and his sentiments. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna come back at the end. So let's get into it. Y'all like, please keep going in the chat. I will keep looking at it. So we talked about this. I'm gonna go to consistency and come back. So consistent. I went to the Googles like I always do. And the trick of define this word for me. You know, if you put define and you put the word, then Google gives you the definition. For anyone who didn't know, I do it all the time. So consistent, acting or done in the same way over time, repeating the same behavior over time, maintaining a steady and predictable course in one's behavior, attitude, standards, or methods. Right? I think we can all agree, like we're on the same page with the definition, but you might not be in agreement with what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Reaching for your phone when you first wake up and scrolling on the Instagram or TikTok, whatever your app of choice is, brushing your teeth in the morning, your Starbucks order, because some of y'all got very complicated orders, but you can rattle it off like you said something real simple, like it made a tall cup of coffee. No, like you get in a car, if your car does this, and it just automatically links up to Bluetooth, telling yourself every time you sit down to write that you're a slow writer and reader, consistent in that. Replaying the day's conversation in your mind or trying to sleep, cleaning something before you write so you can have a clear mind, sitting in the car for 15 minutes when you arrive home, just trying to prepare yourself to walk into the door. Like I could have kept going, right, with this list. My whole point, and we, like a few folks have shared it already today, we are consistent, right? We may not like what we're consistent in, but I wanted to start here because a lot of times when I'm talking with folks or if I'm listening to myself, if you're not careful, the way that you are talking about consistency or just getting yourself together, it would sound like you're never consistent. That you don't even know what the word means, that there's nothing you can point to that would show that you are a consistent person. And so how earlier I was saying, let's be clear with our words because they do matter. And if you're real honest, you're not interested in being consistent. You're interested in being perfect. You're conflating the two words. You want to be the person who does exactly what they say they would do, how they say they was going to do it, when they said they were going to do it, no matter what else is going on in their life or their body. And consistency and perfection, y'all, are not the same things, which is why I wanted to start off with the definition. Okay, Mimi, I think your brain is going to explode, so I'm going to just let you, no, tell me what your face is saying. You know, and if there was a cuss word in there too, it's fine. It's fine. Because it would take like brushing your teeth, for example. Most of the time, I'm assuming y'all go into the bathroom and you just brush your teeth while you're thinking about something else. Maybe you're scrolling on your phone. You're not in the mirror with every individual tooth being like, did I brush it 10 times? Did I get everything? Okay, let me move on to the next tooth. No, you're like, did I brush? Me, I'm like, did I brush until the timer went off? Okay, sounds great. But I'm consistently brushing my teeth. Are you consistently showing up to write? right? It is about the action. Do you consistently do it? Not how well you do it, but you do it repeatedly. Again, this is why words, right? We got to split them up. You're not, if y'all would take a step back, most of you are not saying you want to be someone who shows up and you write every day or you put words on a page. No, what you're saying is, I want to be someone who, yes, shows up every day to write, but who writes gold. Like, who, when I put words on the page, they're perfect and they have a citation. And when I turn them in, no one's going to say anything. There's going to be no feedback for it. That's just multiple things happening there, which is why I started this off with the conversation of what does consistency look like at this season of your doctoral experience, because I'm asking you to point out what are the behaviors that you would be doing every day to show that you're consistent, right? A lot of what y'all gave was predictable, reliable, right? Like, or now I wish I could go back. It was more from the sense of how I understood is how other people see you, how other people would think of the way you're showing up, how other people would evaluate the way you're showing up. Instead, I want you to start switching that. Like, doesn't matter what other people think. How do I want to show up? What are the behaviors I want to do and practice every day or 3 days or whatever the time frame is? So what is the guarantee that you make to yourself, right? He talked about, like, you want people to make guarantees to you, but you don't want to make a guarantee to yourself. If you were not doing this from a place of punishment, but from a place of redirection, how would you answer these questions? Do you have clear promises to yourself beyond, well, I just got to finish this? This is a multi-month, multi-year process. Like, if your only metric is I have to finish, what do you do in the in-between? What do you do in the days and the weeks and the months that it takes you to finish? If you can't say anything positive to yourself or celebrate anything until it's finished, till the dissertation is finished, how do you keep yourself going? And what happens, right? Because if you don't have anything in the in-between, you're like, okay, I'm going to write every day. What happens when you miss a day of writing? Like, what is it anchoring you to say, it's okay, I'll just show up and do the same thing tomorrow? But instead, if the only metric is, did I finish a dissertation, the time when you like miss your writing day, now the stakes are higher because you're like, I'm not going to ever finish because I didn't show up this one day. This is what I find that we do instead. This is how we respond when we don't do what we said we would do. We shit talk. So, like, we say we're real mean to ourselves. You never do what you say you will. We start talking in absolutes, never, always. You ruminate. You recall every single time you didn't work or write when you said you would. Remember that time in my first year with that one class and I said I was going to show up and I didn't show up. Meanwhile, back at the Ridge, in year 4 or 5, nobody remembers that but you. Overcompensate. You know what? I didn't write for a whole month. You know what I'm going to do now? 100-day writing challenge where I write 3 pages every day for 100 days. What now? You didn't show up for a month and this is what you're going to do? Like, make your logic work for me. Like, explain it, okay? Or we say, oh, you didn't show up and write, and you don't get to have any fun. No, just don't call no friends. You don't get to go. Oh, you said you're going to go to that event. Nope, you can't go. Physical neglect, which is one I have to really pay attention to. You will not get up from this seat until you do what you said you would do. So you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't go to the bathroom. Randomly, I didn't realize this until I had joined this health program. And we were doing this journaling exercise about, we were supposed to be paying attention to what the thoughts were about, we had our favorite food in front of us. And then she set a timer and was like, okay, you can't eat it or like something, I don't know. Anyway, she just asked, how do you, like, what is going through your mind? And I realized, oh, ever since I was a little girl, I was told that I could not get up from the table until I was done with my work. And so now that has translated into, I can work, like I can hyper focus on my work without ever going to the bathroom, without drinking anything, without eating. If I don't have an external cue that says, hey, it's been hours, you did not do a thing, I was good because I have years of practice. Because not with my Black mama was I going to break the rules, right? So I'm just using me as an example. Emotional neglect, you dismiss the real reasons why you didn't do what you said. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're grieving. It doesn't matter that you don't feel well. It doesn't matter that you're worried about your friend or loved one. It doesn't matter that your boss just yelled at you 5 minutes before. Your brain would say, it doesn't matter. You said you were going to write. Why are you not writing? And then some form of sabotage, avoidance, procrastinating on things that we know we can do, on things that we find enjoyable. We're like, I can't do that. I got to earn. It'll be something like for work or for even your dissertation or class or something, but it's something that you find more enjoyable that you will put off because you didn't do the thing that you don't like doing. Let me know any thoughts in real time in the chat. You are more than what you produce. Capitalism tells you your worth is tied to what you can produce. Now, I know some of y'all gonna have a hard time with this slide, whether you tell me or not. You are not a bad person because you miss a deadline. You do not have to punish yourself because you miss deadlines. And you are not letting yourself off the hook easy, or whatever language you want to use, because you choose to have a different kind of response to yourself for missing deadlines. Capitalism tells you that's a lie, but I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Let me see. Yes, let me not get ahead of myself. I'm assuming, I know y'all the way I think I do, you were told some version of, well, if you are well behaved and you get good grades and you go to college and you find a job and you work really hard and you demonstrate to them how valuable you are, you don't have to worry about anything. You'll be good to go. Everything will work out fine. And probably in terms of growing up, you were punished when you didn't do what you said you were supposed to do, what you were directed to do. That taught you this messaging with the negative reinforcement. It taught you that your job is to show up and do what you're told. You're also taught that someone's going to tell you who has more authority and more power than you. They're going to come to you and they're going to give you a set of instructions. And your job is to learn how to follow those instructions. Because if you don't, there'll be harsh consequences. For some, maybe it was yelling. For some, it was taking away favorite things. For some, it was more of a physical punishment. For some, it was life or death. And if we're going to really go deep down in history, which I think is a slide, so let me stop. If we go down in history, though, it would make sense why we were taught this, right? And my goal here isn't to like throw anyone under the bus or say like, you had awful parents. That's not my goal. My goal is to provide context to say it makes sense why we're here. Either way, though, it leaves us thinking like, if we didn't do what we said we were going to do, or if we didn't do what we were told, then we must be the problem. No matter how illogical that is how the socialization is. Because how come everybody, I think back to like things that I heard in classrooms or I hear other people say like, well, everybody else did it, what's wrong with you? So it must be something wrong with you. Yeah, I didn't make a slide about this. But I think about history, right? I think about slavery. If your folks like migrated over, it was life or death if you did not do what you were supposed to do. I do have a slide, I'm gonna come back. Sometimes it be us or our own peers. I've been told that being late isn't something we should be doing because they already think lateness and all characteristic of Black folks. Yeah, they do. And, right, but like, why wouldn't you say the end? You wouldn't say the end. You wouldn't be like, y'all stop telling me that. Because something in your genes, in your very fabric of who you are says, no, they're right. To survive as a people, to survive as a community, we gotta follow certain rules. It is not your fault. Like to go to Eduardo, I'm coming back to you, right? Like the whole blame conversation, it's not your fault. We were taught to do this. We were taught to respect people in power and authority, right? We were taught to please those who are in power. I'm going to say this again. We were taught to please those in power. We were taught to behave in a certain way so that we receive a favorable response. That is the definition of people pleasing, but we were taught that. The message is that other people's opinions matter more than what we think, because other people's opinions could be the difference between life or death. And when that message is constantly reinforced in your house, when you go outside your house, when you're in school, where you spend a lot of your time at, it makes sense then why you would internalize that. Also, from a biological point of view, your nervous system, your brain knows that you have a higher chance of surviving life if you are around other people. So we need to be around communities. So yeah, if the community that you are around are saying, you can't be late. In fact, you need to be 15 minutes early to show that you're not like those people, those other Black people. You're going to say, you're right, because I don't want to be kicked out the group. There's an instinctual thing. I do not, if I get kicked out the group, I'm going to die. Even though in our modern society, we could logically say that's not true, but we're not, this is not logic. This is not, it is something deep. It might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. It's like, the whole, what's the saying? Like, you got to deal with the cards you were dealt, got to play the hand you were dealt. It is our responsibility to unlearn. So to recognize harmful practices and patterns that were taught to us and find ways to unravel what we can, because we won't be able to unravel all of it. Because like I said, it's in the very fabric of us. It's in the water, it's in the air, it's in everything. Our responsibility is, how do we build up our self-esteem? How do we separate how we define our valuableness, our worthiness? How can we do that outside of what other people think? Now, I don't know, I haven't met a person, unless they're just lying to themselves, that does not care about what other people think about them, because that's how we're wired. So it don't make no sense to me. Now, can you lessen if you care about what other people think of you? Or hold on, y'all. I cannot. Yes, he's playing catch by himself, but I don't know if y'all can see him behind my chair, but it's distracting me. It's cute, but it's distracting me. But yeah, how do we separate it as much as possible from other people? And how do we say it doesn't definitely, I was going to get him a cat, but I don't think my allergies can handle it, but I just, he did have a long day, y'all. He went to the vet, and I'm glad I had the sweater on, because he would have scratched up everything trying to climb, trying to get away, but he's okay. He just got some allergies. How do you get yourself to show up because you're following your own values and metrics for success versus you're trying to get a certain outcome for other people? What I mean by that is, if you, he made a statement about, like, if I decide to go speak at an elementary school or a prison, I'm not going to show up and give them less because I'm doing that for free. And then instead of me choosing the thing that would pay me $100,000 to speak, it's like, I'm doing it because I value myself enough to give 120%. How I understand that is, so put it in a scenario for y'all, whether your chair is going to be like, oh, this is the best thing I read or not, you're still going to show up and write your shitty paragraph every day because you made a commitment to follow the scholar basics. And it doesn't matter if they're going to like it or not. You made a commitment to yourself that this is who you were going to be. My hope for you is that you get there more than you care about what the chair says. Now, it's a very real experience, because that your chair signature does matter. But when you can get to a place where you're like, yeah, they might like it or they may not, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this. And when I get into that room, you signing the paper, girl. Like, we're not leaving until you sign the paper. I'm not going to leave until I understand what it is that you want to see, not because I want your approval. I just want to know how to get done. This sounds like the same thing, but it's different. My hope is that you show up in your dissertation process for you. Like, for me, I was like, not so much for my chair, but for the rest of my committee, I was like, I'm doing this research this way. And they were like, you should do it this way. I get it. I'm doing it this way. And we can keep going back and forth, but I'm doing it this way. At one point, my chair did try to extend my timeline. And I was like, girl, no, you already gave me this ridiculous one. I'm going to do this. She's like, but I think it'll be a stronger project if you did X, Y, Z. I think I'll get out of here faster if I do it this way. You can have your opinion, girl, but this is ultimately is my life and my energy and my mental health, because it's hanging on by a thread, is what I had to tell her. My hope for you is you'll be more willing to advocate for yourself, because you realize that your success or who you are as a person, as a doctor, does not solely depend on the opinion of your chair, that you're operating off of your own internal system. Hopefully that makes sense. We can come back if it doesn't. Because when you can understand and make peace with, this is who I am, this is how I show up, then you can create rules and boundaries for yourself. It's not so much that you want to be someone who doesn't watch Netflix every night. I want you to be someone who's like, no, I'm going to watch Netflix every night. So what other things do I need to put in place so that I can get done what I said I was going to get done, and I'm watching Netflix? It's not an either or, it's a both and. Even if it's a behavior that you feel like you shouldn't have. Yeah, I wake up every morning still and open my phone and scroll. Because I know I'm going to do that, I just give myself a different rule. Girl, you got 30 minutes. There's another alarm that goes off 30 minutes later that says, okay, now get up. I'm not fighting with that part of me. I'm like, you can get it. And here's the other rule. It's the other side of it. I'm asking y'all to make peace with, if you already know you got health appointments every Friday. Why would we write on Friday? If you know you got therapy on Monday and you got an attitude the whole day after therapy, why would you say you're gonna write anything on a Monday? Go lay down, go watch TV. Because I used to be real pissed at my therapist. I needed a whole day to be mad at her, fake mad. I wasn't really mad, but I just wanted to be mad. So I just didn't do anything on Thursdays when I used to have therapy on Thursdays. Boundaries are to protect you from you and your programming. It's not to change you. It's not to control other people. It's like, because I know myself, because I know if I open up this bag of gummy bears, I'm going to eat the whole thing. Either I could decide not to buy them, or I could buy them, open them right away, split them up into individual baggies, because it's more about the bag opening, I think, because my brain is like, they're going to go bad. So then split them up into extra bags. How do I work with myself? But in order to work with myself, I would need to know myself. You would need to know yourself without judgment, without blaming like, oh, you're such a bad, awful person because you don't show up like so-and-so. I do have a PSA to get off the internet, but that's another conversation because the internet is disturbing our brains. But I'm come back. Self-care. Practice caring for yourself like a parent would. Yes, I'm saying do some inner child work, inner parenting work. If you had to treat yourself like a 3-year-old on a schedule, what would that schedule look like? Maybe 5 is a better age. I don't know. Janelle, I don't know if you're still on this thing. Is 3-year-olds appropriate age? Where I'm going with this is
I don't know. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they don't listen to me. So I can't help you
yeah, but see, they're
over
still
here.
alive. Here's the thing, they're still alive. So that means at some point you found a way to put some type of food in them. A bath, I'm sure happens at some point. A nap time, go to sleep. If right, because we're all 3-year-olds at heart. We just pretend we have more language and we are more aware of what other people think. So we change our behavior. But you still have a toddler on the inside. It's like, I just want what I want when I want it. How do you work with that inner toddler? And then how do you connect with other people? Because we're not meant to do this by ourselves. Yeah, but does your brain have like less energy than a 3-year-old? Your anxiety, your anxious thoughts, your critical voice, because that's the version of you that we making friends with.